the theme song from MASH stuck in my head.
The little helicopter flying in above your head.
Yeah.
This is when Alan needs a little RC helicopter.
You know, we've had 2 in the house and they've both gone busted. Hard no. That's a waste of money.
Just gotta get good enough to where you don't crash it.
Liz did say that she bought Eros a drone.
She did?
It's like a little LED one. Doesn't go very high or anything.
Yeah. That thing survived though. Oh shit. Oh, we're good. So I tried to plug in my Bluetooth adapter so that I can just use my Bose headset so I don't have to use my big headphones. Didn't want to work. You know what? Now that I think about it, this is probably what broke everything on my computer.
But your headphones don't just sync to your computer.
Nah, they have a dongle.
Like mine literally just sync right to the computer. I don't have to plug anything in.
Oh no, mine don't do that. I had to plug in a dongle in the back. But they have a wide reach.
Oh, my computer accepts any Bluetooth like that.
Nice. Mine didn't have any Bluetooth built in.
Oh, that's weird.
I opted for one that didn't have any Bluetooth. I'd rather have a dongle than built-in Bluetooth.
But yeah, it's like my keyboard.
Mm-hmm.
It'll Bluetooth to like 4 devices at once.
That's fucking cool. I've been thinking about getting a kit to build a custom keyboard. Because I love the size of my keyboard without the number pad and everything.
Oh, mine has a number pad. Look at the size of it.
Nice.
It's so tiny. There's like no room. But I can't use any other keyboard now.
Yeah, that's my problem too. And I have a really nice like speed key gaming keyboard. A friend of mine loaned to me.
Yeah, this was the brand I was telling Mark to buy. I was just telling him to buy the low end one. Like I could kill somebody with this.
Did
so
my
heavy
camera...
it is.
Nope, my camera on focus. That sounds like a heavy fucking keyboard. Mine's not too heavy. Mine's pretty light.
This one actually has like a metal frame. It's all like metal.
Shit.
But then the keys actually are removable, and you can just like change out the bottom. You know, that the key clips onto.
Yeah,
so it's
yeah,
a little module, and you just change it out to your specific pressure and everything to it.
Nice. Yeah, that's the kind of keyboard I want to build. But it'd be noisy as fuck. If Norma and I ever have a shared office, she's gonna hate me.
We wouldn't have a shared office in that case. There was a girl that I worked with. She typed so loud on like one of those basic ass computers, but she like keyboards. She just typed so aggressively, and it was so distracting.
My manager and Aldo once, like while I was taking notes for a meeting we were having, like stops me when he's like, "Hey Alan, could you mute? Your keyboard is loud." I felt bad.
Yeah, I was looking it up. They actually have like the quiet mechanical modules you can put in.
Yeah, and you can put little bumpers in there too, so that like you don't hear the contact hit.
I don't know. I don't think mine's been that loud.
Nah,
my mic picks up my mouse more than my keyboard. And I notice that when I hear the click.
Dude. Some mouses are made that way. Some people like that shit.
Well, I like the mouse.
No, like the noisy mouse and the noisy keyboard. I can't deal with a particularly noisy mouse. The keyboard I like.
Well, it's not a big deal until you're, doing a 3-hour recording, editing a 3-hour recording, and just constant click, 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 click.
You know what? You're right. You're right. Yeah.
So, like, eventually I'll finish up the last D&D session, editing it. Yeah, I'll get it posted eventually.
That's gonna be cool.
It's the only way I keep everything like straight and track of like what I owe people. Like right here, I owe Marco 2 healing potions. But he has to come pick them up, so we'll see if he gets them or not.
Oh, speaking of which, guess what? I won't make you guess. I got more 2mm nozzles and. Oh no!
Hey, just so you know, you're like really breaking up bad.
Am I? I'll turn my mic down a little bit. Is that better?
No, like your video and your audio were in and out the whole time you were talking.
Oh, that's weird.
Really? That wasn't my experience. I didn't see that on my side.
Anyway,
2mm nozzle.
I got more of these little bad boys, 0.2mm nozzles. I can try again. I finally figured it out. I need to slow everything down by like 4 times.
So you're saying slow and steady wins the race?
Yeah. Yeah, she does. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Wait, did you just call Norma slow and steady?
I mean, lately, yeah.
I didn't call her that. You called her that. Don't put words in my mouth.
No, I said slow and steady wins the race, and you said yes, she does, and she's the only woman here. Well, I think she's the only woman here.
No, I said yes.
You haven't changed your identifier yet, have you?
No. What are you talking about?
Okay, just checking this world nowadays.
Oh, okay.
Very considerate of you to ask.
Yeah, that was very woke of you. Thank you. No, it's still he, him. That's never gonna change.
It's like in Reservoir Dogs. I don't know if you've seen that, but one of the guys, he says, "Hi, my name's Cheese. My pronouns are he and him." Like every introduction. It's really cute.
It's like I get the sentiment about it, but after a while, it's like if it's in your bio, that's good enough. You don't have to constantly say it, eh?
Yeah.
Hey, just so you know, it says we're playing Halo Infinite right now.
Son of a bitch.
On Twitch.
On Twitch?
Yeah.
That's the last.
You're gonna be sorely disappointed if they come to this. Or maybe this is a tactic to get people to the stream.
See, I did the update all
it-
titles. Go fucking figure.
But it's weird because when it's on our page, it's all right. It's just on the instead of just chatting, it says Halo Infinite. It's weird.
Okay, fixed it.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah. Okay, all the descriptions are the correct. Oh my god. It hasn't even been a long day for me.
I was gonna say no, the title's correct and all that. It's just, I guess, it's not that big a deal.
Oh no, I just fixed that. I already fixed it. Yeah, if you refresh
On the follower menu.
Yeah. If you refresh it, it's fixed.
I did.
I see it says Talk Shows Podcast
Yeah.
on my iPad.
All right, we're already pretty backed up. So, y'all ready?
Do it.
Yeah.
All right. You know what? I'm gonna change our intro so it says starting show in 3, 2, 1.
And then I go first,
The
right?
topics we discuss are many,
No story too bold to talk about.
Strictly our own opinions.
But they are opinions from people like you.
Welcome to the NAKE'd podcast.
Puzzle's not here. Say something awkward. Just kidding. It's me. Hey, what's up, everybody?
Well, it was a Monday. I hope to end on a good note. It's your girl, NJ.
I don't understand why everyone's getting all uptight about M&M's changing. Just let them change. Your DM Tech Alan.
Yeah, I've not understood that situation. I mean, I heard something about it, and I just was like, this is not worth my energy.
Dude, everyone is pissed that they can no longer take the green M&M out on a date anymore.
Well, I mean,
They
come
made it.
on,
They made
just
it
give
less appealing, and like, who cares?
but there had to be like, okay, it was like the Smurf situation, right? Like she was the Smurfette,
Yeah.
and now there's no more Smurfette. It's sad. I mean, would you watch the Smurfs if it was just a bunch of dudes?
I
I
mean,
mean, why aren't there more Smurfettes?
I'm not against it.
I already watched Letterkenny, and it's mostly dudes, so I mean, it's all the same.
But you know, green's the color of envy, so it just made sense that everybody was envious of the green M&M. So
That's a good call.
Yeah.
But why are we so pressed about M&Ms? Like they're just M&Ms. It's a fictional
right,
character.
there is so many more important things going on in this world.
Right.
Things that we will talk to you about in this episode.
Like the Microsoft Activision deal.
Like
Yeah.
that's the bottom of the list.
What do you mean? That's the first topic.
Well, you know what I mean? But of
Yeah.
importance in this world is like it's Activision Blizzard. Okay, hey, they didn't go out of business and now they're getting split up.
I mean, they're not getting split up. They're just
Oh,
being
no,
acquired.
Microsoft announced that they're ripping it apart.
Oh shit!
It's going to be Activision and Blizzard. It's not Activision Blizzard anymore.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what.
Well, that was the one article that I was reading on Microsoft's Twitter was that Microsoft's going to make it an Activision department and a Blizzard department.
It makes sense. They kind of like, with all the developers that they work with now, they kind of let them do their own thing. You just give them money and then they focus on their in-house projects.
Yeah, like Mojang and Microsoft, their relationship is very well. All Microsoft does is provide them with their revenue and then some for their budgetary reasons. They provide them with server space and the ability to actually build and grow into something different. Like, look at Minecraft Dungeons. I play Minecraft Dungeons. That shit is fun. If you want just a basic dungeon crawler, it's great.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, they've done some great things, but
Mhm.
also Microsoft is like a homicidal maniac, also. It's a little psychopath, and
Mhm.
it's murdered a lot of things.
Yeah. Well, this deal especially like $70 billion when they bought Mojang for like 2.5 and ZeniMax for like 7.5.
Mhm.
Like 70 billion, like that's like a big investment.
Do you honestly think that Activision Blizzard was worth that right now?
Yeah,
No.
I think so. They have
But-
a massive gaming market.
Well, but that's what I'm saying, right? Like, they have the IP, and their
Mhm.
IP's worth something. But if Microsoft had not bought out Activision Blizzard, do you think Activision Blizzard would still be a powerful company next year?
Not if Kotick stayed there. And from what we
He's
know,
not.
no, yeah, not if he stayed there, it would have been issue after issue, and I'm certain Activision Blizzard would have folded.
I think they're investing in the future because a
Mhm.
large part of what I read about Microsoft is that they're really hoping it'll pay off in like the metaverse avenue. Like a lot of companies are like pushing that really hard because it's gonna make them billions. Um, like
Did
they're
you? Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say they're focused like less on the higher powered devices like an Xbox or PS5 and more so going to like flexible gaming to like game wherever you are. And that's not surprising because Activision has King as one of its game developers and King developed Candy Crush, which has made in just like player revenue since it started in like the early 2010s, like $7.4 billion by itself. That's not including all the ad space that they sell on it.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to milk those moms somehow, right?
Now, with
But
the
real quick, just
Mhm.
on the metaverse, did y'all hear the announcement today?
did they
The
cancel it?
Shiba-verse. No, the Shiba-verse will be part of the metaverse.
God.
So Shiba's getting their own little area in the metaverse,
I'm sorry,
which is
what is
pretty
this?
cool news. Huh?
What's that?
Shiba-verse. So Shiba Inu, it's a cryptocurrency that's very popular,
Oh,
It's one of the cheaper
and
ones that are
they're going to
very
be
popular.
teaming with the metaverse. Yeah.
that's
Hmm.
cool.
I don't know.
I mean, pioneer it now.
If Shiba hits one penny, I'm a millionaire. So let's do this.
I'll start buying Shiba now.
Our Friday and Saturday was your best days. So you better hop on that train now before it comes up, because Bitcoin's already up about 8% from where it was since
Mhm.
the crash.
Yeah. Yeah, the crash happened just recently. No, but Microsoft finds itself in a very precarious situation currently because Microsoft is not new to monopolyism suits against it from the government. You know, it happened back in the day when they forced every person who was using Windows 1995 or Windows, not DOS, yeah, Windows 1995 to only use one web browser and didn't allow you to use any others. And they face a second one immediately after that for monopolyism for Windows, and they had to kind of comply with the federal government to get around that. But if they keep buying gaming studios left and right, we're gonna have an issue, especially looking
Mhm.
at it from a cons point of view. Like when Microsoft acquired ZeniMax, a Microsoft spokesperson had said, "Yeah, we'll honor the contracts with the PlayStation Store, so that the games that you like that are produced by the companies that are owned by ZeniMax, they'll continue to be there." Now we can't find Call of Duty games on the PlayStation 5s at all. They're all PC and Xbox exclusives. So that's the one thing that everyone's kind of waiting for the shoe to drop for Microsoft to say, and these contracts are up. Everything that was owned by Activision Blizzard is now Xbox and PC.
I feel like
So-
that's like having your cake and eating it too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if,
Mhm.
yeah.
But then again, I mean, look at Activision Blizzard. Like, when was the last new game that was popular from them?
Overwatch.
But yeah, how old's that? Like 2014, right?
Yeah. And then
2000 and late.
Yeah. Then WoW Classic came out recently, but
That's not a new. That's what I'm
yeah.
saying. Like, so the most anticipated games right now are the next Call of Duty, Diablo 4,
Mhm.
which I don't like. They've waited so long on Diablo. I don't know. Like, they're gonna have a player base, but they're not gonna have the dedicated base they had, because even, you know, the shit that happened with Blitzchung,
Mhm.
like that right there, you saw their user base drop dramatically.
And then we saw their user base drop again when they're like, "Oh, Diablo for your phone."
Yeah, that was just
That
an
was,
epic fail.
that was a terrible announcement. Well, they also
Yeah.
have World of Warcraft, which has a really dedicated following, but I don't know if their numbers have fallen off lately.
Yeah, they've been bleeding users to Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 14 was like the biggest MMO of 2020, I believe. Like
So,
right now, I don't know about lately, but even like right now, it's like a 3-hour wait just to get on a server for Final Fantasy 14.
which is crazy to me. Why would anybody wait that long? Like, I wouldn't. Like, we're in a age of instant gratification. I don't want to wait that long for a server.
Yeah, but like, you know, like we've had the conversation before where people say, "Hey, I get up, I get in queue, I get up, I go take my shower, I make my breakfast, I get my coffee, and by the time I sit down, I'm ready to go."
You're loaded in. Or you're ready to read a book while you wait another hour.
Cage had his message in the chat. He says, "Bro, just get a PC and you're fine."
Dude, for real, Cage, we finally convinced our friend Kiwi Head to get a PC over a Series 1X, and he's not regretting it. Like, he's very happy with his choice.
You know, he was telling me on a private chat between him and myself, like, hey, I'm just gonna like I was trying to help him with some driver issues because he couldn't play Halo with us this past Wednesday, and I was talking to him on the side, and he's like, you know what, I'm just gonna get rid of Game Pass Ultimate. You know, it's not worth it. I can't even open Halo, and I'm like, dude, don't get rid of it. It's worth it. There are other games on there you want to play. Trust me.
On
Yeah.
that note, with the announcement of the Activision deal, Microsoft also announced it hit its 25 million subscribers to Game Pass, which estimates about $400 million in monthly revenue.
Fucking damn.
I mean, but how can you beat the value? Because even like they so we can say Game Pass puts out more new stuff than Disney Plus, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
And so it's worth to have the fact that you don't have to buy PC games or Xbox games, you can just go in between, is worth the $15 a month.
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
I would, in you know, like Kiwi Head, if you're listening, I would suggest not getting it. Just get your PC right. You bought a pre-built PC, so you're gonna have issues. Welcome to PC life.
Yeah.
It's like
But Google is
I
your
have
best
to restart mine before every stream. Okay, I feel it.
friend.
Reddit threads.
I leave mine on all the time.
I know, that's my thing. It was like, so like if my PC's left on for like more than 24 hours straight,
Mm-hmm.
then it wants to be restarted.
Good call. Yeah, Cage just was saying that he gets why people get consoles, and he has a twinge of regret for some games, but like logically, a PC is the easiest because you can do a lot from it. You can stream. It's not just limited to gaming. You know, you can use it for personal use or whatever the case, and you can't really do that on consoles. It's not the same experience, and it's not as easy, I guess you could say.
Yeah. And you know what, Cage? I'm with you there. Like, I want to play the Spider-Man game, but I'm going to wait till next year to get myself a PlayStation 5. Like, it can wait a minute.
Right? I'm still waiting to get my PlayStation 4 so I can play the Spider-Man game on PlayStation 4.
Oh, did you hear that? Sony ramped up PS4 production because they can't keep up with the PS5 sales.
They had to. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But again, you know, well, like Cage says, you can do almost anything. Yeah, you can play dirty games on your PC, but you can't on your Xbox.
That and PlayStation's already considering moving a good portion of its gaming catalog to the PC. So I mean, honestly, for Microsoft to continue to have an open relationship via subsidiaries with Sony is beneficial. Because Sony's not going to put out any sort of operating system. They can't do that. They've never done that. And while they can rely on open source operating systems like Linux or Mac, like Mac is a free operating system. You just need to figure out how to install it on anything, right? But they're not going to go that route.
You know, but coming back to the, you know, Microsoft buying everybody out is a really bad idea, though, in the long run, because competition breeds innovation.
Yeah.
And if you own all the competition, you can't move forward. Like Microsoft buying all these studios is shutting down the innovation the studios could be making.
Yeah. I totally agree. But in a marketplace where there's an abundance of small developers, like Concerned Ape who made Stardew Valley, like there's a ton of developers out there.
Well, I mean, like Epic, right? Like we can bring up Epic. They've been able to play in the leagues with the big boys because they found their little niche. And
Fortnite.
like, say, would you want Microsoft to buy out Epic I don't think it would be a good idea.
No, yeah. I wouldn't want that.
So when is this like? I don't know. What is it? A merger or acquisition?
It's an acquisition.
When will
They're
it like?
buying it, yeah.
When
Yeah.
will they start like rolling out these changes and stuff?
So the Microsoft spokespersons haven't given out any information on that yet, and I don't even know if Microsoft has to
Probably
wait.
next year sometime.
Yeah, definitely next year. But I don't even think Microsoft is looking to the government to see if they can acquire it. Kind of like with T-Mobile acquiring Sprint a couple years ago.
Even then, that was like heavily contested in court.
Yeah, it was. It took them a full extra year just to get past that.
See,
Ye-
but that's again. I mean, so that's when you get into the trust laws, right? Like we lived through SBC, right? Y'all remember SBC
Mhm.
here? Well, they were
Southwestern
broken
Bell?
up. No, they weren't. Southwest. Southern Bell Corporation is who we had. There was multiple, right? So
Mhm.
back in the day, you had Southwestern Bell, Southern Bell, Midwestern Bell,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then so they were broken up at that time, and then they were kind of able to like weasel their way all back together, and then we had to break them up again, and then AT&T bought
5 feet
them all,
apart.
right? And then AT&T bought it all, and so it was all fine now.
It reminds me of a chaperone at a dance, like, leave room for Jesus.
But yeah, I'm excited to find out what else will come out of this. I'm not happy that Bobby Kotick is getting 1 full month of Xbox Game Pass subscriptions. I don't think he deserves it, but
He's walking away with $400 million as part of his like party package.
what a fucking piece of shit. That's all I gotta say. Just be CEO and allow the shit to happen under his watch. It's embarrassing.
Do you think that with some of the technology that Microsoft's been able to acquire,
Mhm.
like Twitch, that they're going to be able to better games like WoW with that?
Oh, you mean acquisition of oh my god, what were they called?
Oh, Mixer, my bad.
Mixer. There you go. Yeah, I think they
Yeah.
could. I definitely think they could. I mean, already it eliminates the necessity to have to purchase and host servers. And if anyone knows how to host a fucking server, it's Microsoft. And document everything that they do on those servers. Like I've been the systems administrator and had access to like business level Microsoft account, right? I've seen the back end. It's impressive. Compared to AWS and any other competitors, like it's a behemoth.
So they could really turn Facebook gaming into like not just as a afterthought, like YouTube or Twitch, like on that level.
Mm-hmm. Like if I'm certain,
So,
Mhm.
Or the meta.
oh,
now.
just
Yeah.
yeah. I was gonna say, are they gonna change it to meta gaming? Because that
Oh.
kind of like that sound that
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 sounds
rolls
kinda
off
cool.
the tongue a lot better than Facebook gaming,
Yeah.
Well,
It doesn't sound as lame either.
right?
I don't think that would be kind of cool if Facebook changed Facebook gaming to meta gaming. Like that rolls off the tongue, but
I'm
I don't
pretty
know.
sure Facebook's like aiming to do that virtual reality, like where you're gonna be sitting in the room with Ninja watching him play.
That'd be cool.
That would be cool. They're trying to go for that Ready Player One.
Pivoting onto a similar topic, have you guys every time you open Twitter get attacked by NFT? What is an NFT? And like a whole book explanation about NFTs.
Just
Uh, I mean, I get that all the time from multiple apps.
today I saw a post saying on Reddit saying I can't believe people are falling for this NFT scams. Like it's just a pyramid scheme.
So it's a non-fungible token, right? If anyone wonders what NFT stands for.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, so the argument people are making, right, is if we put it in real world terms, if I go to Walmart and I buy a print of the Mona Lisa from Walmart in the poster section, and I go home, I'm not able to claim I have an original Mona Lisa, right?
Mhm.
I have a copy of it. Well,
Yeah.
the whole point of NFTs is to say you own the original of that artwork, and then you can, so it has more value than a screenshot does. That's the number one argument I keep seeing on Twitter, especially. They're like, why are these dumbasses going to buy NFT when you can just screenshot it? Well, I mean, when you're moving in the meta, this is where the metaverse comes in, right? So, like in the metaverse, Nike signed a deal with Meta that they're going to produce NFT shoes. So I can go and I can buy NFT from Nike for the brand new Jordans, and I will have the brand new Jordans in the metaverse, and somebody else is going to be able to have those. Like, that's the whole, like, that's where it's leading to.
Yeah. The only problem right now that the market's facing is that there are other registrars that aren't double checking to see if that image is actually owned by someone else. So that's where like duplicates are coming in and all the other shit. But that's
Well, I mean,
that's a
yeah, it's
topic for another
still,
time.
yeah, yeah. NFTs are what, like, the 3 months ago, nobody knew what they were.
Yeah.
2 days born.
Where have you been? I've been owning. I knew about NFTs before they were cool. Or start seeing those guys come out of the woodworks.
So actually, one thing, I actually sent you a video earlier this morning, right, about a guy talking about VPNs and all that,
Mm-hmm.
and
Wait, me?
most VPN, yeah,
Oh.
but it's part of a different conversation we've been having.
Mm.
But again, most VPNs run, or they encrypt their data into NFTs, and then they transfer that NFT to the other device, and that device decrypts it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you secure your information over your VPNs. And I was like, that's cool. I did not know that's actual, like, real world use of NFTs.
Yeah.
Technology is amazing, man. There's so much I don't know.
I
You
need-
guys teach me a lot.
The NFT in cryptography world is insane once you actually start understanding what all goes into it.
There's a lot of fucking math behind it, and it's one massive fucking cipher. Like SSL, HTTPS, like they're all built on different ciphers.
So that's like a lot of crypto and like NFT projects are posed to replace most of what our internet security protocols are nowadays.
The what is it called? Infrastructure of the internet is changing as we know it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's like a huge thing, right? So the United States just made a big investment into the infrastructure, but then again, it's like we just put a bunch of money into a dying system because the system itself is evolving. And you'll hear, like Web 3.0 and all this other stuff that people talk about. It's like that's where the world's moving towards, and we're still focusing on like dial up, you know?
Because parts of rural America still only get dial-up.
Right? Like Starlink will be up and running before dial up gets to rural Kansas, you know?
Kind of true. But
Hmm.
I believe you have another topic that will probably never end.
Oh, it's a story.
The story? Is it a story about a little
Yeah,
filibuster?
we're gonna be riding a giant white dragon.
Jesus.
So we've talked about this a couple times already, but so the big vote finally came up, and it was shot down 52 to 48 to change the filibuster rules.
Mhm.
And a lot of people are actually upset about this, which doesn't make sense. Why you would be upset about this? But especially, so there's two Democratic senators, Kristen Sinema in Joe Manchin, they actually voted against it, and they were like the deciding votes. And now they're actually being attacked and dragged through the mud by their own party because
I think they got
they,
censored.
yeah, Krista Sinema was censored by her own Democratic Party in Arizona just
Mhm.
because she said no to pretty much kind of forcing. So getting rid of the filibuster would be one big thing, and it would make a majority rule. And so then that means minority voices mean nothing and have no say in anything. Whoever the minority is at the time.
Well, the only reason that they're doing that is because, I mean, Republicans have been using it maliciously. Maybe removing it completely isn't
No,
the answer. Maybe
there's
modifying the
there's
way
no,
you actually filibuster.
but there's no like modifying. Like it's simple. If it's a very invasive bill, you have to have 2/3. It's like I don't think having a super majority on certain items is a bad thing. Like
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, minority voices should actually have a say, and our system is built in a way that the minority party at the time still has a say, and they don't have to just do as the majority wants all the time.
Mm-hmm. No, and I definitely agree with that.
And
You know, we shouldn't eliminate it, but we should at least modify exactly how it works so that opposing parties don't use it maliciously. Like, look at all of the previous 4 years with President Trump, where Democrats use it maliciously from time to time, and look at now, or times before that, where Republicans used it maliciously.
well, and so that was
Definitely.
one argument I've heard on the subject is that back in the 90s and 80s, right? It
Mhm.
was there was unspoken rules. There was gentlemen's agreements, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in I would say probably since 2012, we've been very divisive and split. And so it's like we're doing everything we can to attack other people instead of working together. And Joe Manchin brings up this point. He's like, hey, if we're just gonna be attacking each other all the time, how can we expect to work together?
Yeah,
Exactly.
totally agree.
Exactly. Like you were elected to do a job. And that job is to look at the whole picture, listen to what your people are saying, and try to come to some resolution for the good of your people. Like I honestly don't think that the filibusters should, be on the chopping block at all. It's a very important part in our democratic process. We have it in place for a reason, and you know, making it so, okay, yeah, majority rules, like, okay, I can see that some measures, okay, fine, but getting rid of that completely is not a process. We use it to slow down legislation. If we have time to review. I mean, look at the stimulus bill that they passed the first time around. That thing was a whole fucking novel, and they had what, like
Came
48
in on
hours to read it?
yeah, and it came in on a little red wagon because there was too many pages for people to carry.
Exactly. So like things like that are important to slow down so they have an idea what they're signing. Because how can you go home and tell your constituents like, "Oh, I didn't know what was in the bill because I had no way to, slow it down so we can look at it from a bipartisan effort and work together." I mean, in the last couple of years, how many times have you seen hands reach across the aisle? The only thing I can think about is Ted Cruz and AOC talking about term limits for Congress. That's the only thing I can think of.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, I mean, like Ted Cruz in his career, he doesn't have many sessions of Congress left. Like he has drives. He's ran for president. Um, he's actually been on the list to be nominated Supreme Court since like 2004. So, I mean,
Really?
I could, yeah, I mean, he is one of the top constitutional lawyers
Hmm.
in
I
the
know.
United States.
I didn't know that at all. Good
I
for
didn't
you,
learn
Yeah,
that at all.
that's
Raphael.
what he studied. But I mean, so I mean, to give a little more context, what they were trying to do is they wanted to get rid of the filibuster rule because they were trying to pass their what they call voting rights bill, and the way they've been presenting this bill is one of the reasons that these two senators vote against it because this isn't really a voting rights bill. It's a restructuring of the voting system. So the way it's been presented and talked about has been kind of misleading. So if they're not comfortable with the bill, then why are they going to let it pass? And this was kind of the only way to stop it.
Um,
Yeah, I'm not okay
so
with
it
that.
was shot down. Is there any chance that it could come back up like as a topic of?
No, it was voted down. It was voted down. So that does help in that process, right?
Mhm.
But as the Democrats have been saying, hey, we're gonna so like the Build Back Better plan, they're decided that they're gonna break it apart and they're gonna rename the bills so that nobody knows what it is and they can vote. And I mean, just like getting rid of the filibuster is kind of dirty politics. There's been a lot of dirty politics going on both sides, right?
Mhm.
And like since the Democrats have took in 2018, they took over the House. They've put up a lot of bills that have really misleading names, which then people vote for. Like say the Patriot Act, right? We learned our lesson with the Patriot Act. The Patriot Act was one of the worst things that the American people ever let happen.
Mhm.
And
Totally agree.
yeah, and then they keep talking about how because of the filibuster was voted down, we're gonna we're losing our voting rights. Well, I don't really see any of that happening. It doesn't make much sense.
Yeah, like I understand where they're coming at with that because there have been some states like Georgia that has really limited how you can vote. Like there's one polling station per city in some
Well, no,
instances, and then
actually,
some
so
rural towns don't even have a voting station. They have to go a town
to put it
over.
into context, for Georgia specifically,
Mhm.
they did make the rule that you had to have at least one per ballot box per county, right?
Mhm.
Well, before they didn't have a rule at all. So like there wasn't even any. There was some counties that didn't have any. You had to go to the next county over.
Mhm.
So it's not like, again, it's not the perfect rule, but it was an improvement on the previous system.
Yeah.
And then again, Biden himself has said it. A lot of the Democrats said it, that the 2020 election was the freest and fairest election, and that's why. And we had more votes in that election than any other election.
Yeah, we really did.
And but and that was good news to hear. So it makes it really hard for me to believe them when now they're saying if we don't pass this bill, the next election's illegitimate. And Biden said that himself.
Son of a bitch.
So, so there's really mixed messaging in all of this. The bill was really maliciously named, I believe, and it was named in a way to fool people who are looking for, better. Like, they say there's a lot of restrictions. Well, one restriction that everybody seems to be against that supports this bill is voter ID laws.
Mhm.
Well, we've had voter ID here in Texas, and I've never had an issue with it. I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody has an ID, and you walk up, give them your ID, and they hand you your ballot. It's that easy.
Yeah.
And I mean, personally, I believe it's kind of racist if you believe voter ID is racist.
I don't think that that's racist, but I do like what New York did, or was it New York? Or was it California? One of the two states said that if you're not a legal resident and you pay your taxes or have some stipulation of the sorts, you can vote.
Well, I could see that in local stuff, but
Mhm.
then again,
It was New
I
York. It was New
mean,
York City. There we go. Yeah, it was only local. It didn't expand
but
past
if
that.
you but if you remove the incentive to become citizens, then like hey, once you have a permanent root here, then you get to vote. I think that's a good.
Yeah.
Now, now should we look at how we make people citizens and like, hey, if you've been living here for 20 years and you have your residency, then yeah, you should have a loophole to where you should be able to vote, right? But if you're a new immigrant and you just moved here 2 months ago, you don't have the knowledge or the information to make an informed vote. You're more likely just going to vote whoever told you to go vote. So that's I don't know. That's a real gray area, right?
Mhm. I can see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like someone who has like established residency that has contributed so far. Like I feel like that pathway is more attainable and easily. Like I think both sides could agree than somebody who's brand new automatically being made a citizen right off the cuff.
Like,
Eh,
what's so wrong with that? Once you're made a citizen, you're already contributing to the economy. You're paying your taxes, and completely eliminating immigration, like Japan did, is only gonna plummet the dollar. That's
Yeah,
why
but
that's
like
why the
Ethan,
Japanese yen is so low. Go
but
ahead.
like Ethan was saying that like that incentive for citizenship, like
Hmm.
I don't know. Like personally, I think like our Pledge of Allegiance is really creepy and weird, but like being a citizen is something different. You know, like you're part of the country, like you're all in and you're invested. I don't know if that makes sense or if that's like creepy patriotism's creeping in again.
No, no, I
Well,
think
I
that
mean,
that's a
but
good point.
patriotism is not always bad, right? Like having pride in you and your community is not a bad thing, right? Like we're
Yeah,
proud to be Texans, right?
Yeah,
We're patriots of Texas most of the time, right?
like have.
over
So
the
I,
U.S. Yes.
yeah. So I mean, but then again, like it comes back to what we were talking, where we started. The US has problems and has issues. But if we're always in a negative and we're always just judging the other side and talking shit about the other side, how are we ever going to, shake hands and come up with a better solution?
Yeah, it's tattooed on my back. Can't shake hands with a clenched fist.
But you can slap.
With an open fist.
Ow. Just kidding.
Yeah, no, but I mean, I think the filibuster rule. So, one thing to remember about with the filibuster rule also is, what's Newton's third law, right?
Mhm.
Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So if Democrats uh, got rid of the filibuster just so they can impose their rule on the minority party, then what's going to stop the Republicans from imposing their rule over the minority party when the Democrats become the minority, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a cycle. They take turns.
It's like gerrymandering. They all take turns fucking up all the voting regions. And Dan Patrick from YouTube says, "Okay, who here poops?" I think we all do.
Totally poop.
Ethan
Yeah.
doesn't poop.
I don't, yeah. It's the whole gerrymandering thing. I mean, yeah. Sometimes it's shitty, but there's other things that go into it than just people trying to be, you know, keep others down.
Let a non-subjective third party just draw out all the maps. Okay, it's
Hey, but
Georgia
then
is the
again,
worst one, and so is North Carolina.
right? You can't blame the people that have the power at state levels for using their power when they see how the federal government is using their power, right?
That's why we need anyone over the legal retirement age should no longer be in office. Like, just stop.
Yeah.
You're no longer representing the majority. You're only representing the minority. And if we need to have some people that are older in Congress to represent the minority, then I'm fine with that. But how is over 80% of our government above the age of 50?
Because Gen Z or Gen Xers don't want to do anything.
Thanks, Gen X. Well, look at our country and all of our problems that we have. But I learned a lot about Russian history and it's super fucked up.
Privyet.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I have like a little brief overview of like the whole Russian and Ukraine. Are we done with your filibuster? Sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say one other thing is that when you're listening to all this, everyone keeps saying this is a threat to our democracy. one thing we got to get straight: the U.S. is not a democracy. Democracy is majority rule. We're a constitutional republic, which actually is minority ruled. So that's the beauty of our government that everyone keeps misconstruing. Totally different style of government than what they're claiming.
And
so I guess, yeah.
And that's
voting
all...
down this bill is what are you saying?
Go ahead.
No, it's very important.
And it's all built on top of the capitalistic ideal. Go ahead. I'm done.
Yeah. So again, Alan, capitalism is so successful is that we can have overweight homeless people. Remember that.
It's not something I ever asked for. Anyway.
I mean, but what would you rather have? Overweight homeless people or starving homeless people?
I would rather have not starving kids. No homeless people.
Never. But see, the human spirit will never allow us to have zero homelessness. That's just like there are some people that. Yeah, you could hand certain, like you go downtown to one of the bridges and say, "Here's a house and a car," and they'll tell you to go fuck yourself. They're free and they're enjoying themselves. So who am I to judge their lifestyle?
Then let's just give them a truck, a home truck, and let them just live out their life on the road.
Van life.
Van life. There you go. Yeah. You don't want a house? Fine. Here's a fucking van.
Half of them are van life. Like legit though, half of them are. Like you could drive under an overpass and you'll see like a van with tents popped outside of it.
Anyway, NJ, Russian history.
But yeah, for real, the Russia-Ukraine situation is escalating rapidly, and it is scary.
Yeah, so I had to like go back and see, like, I remember back in like the early 2000s, like Russia and Ukraine, like it was early 2010s, and I didn't really I didn't like really pay attention to what was going on, so I did a deep dive, and dude, Russian history is like, I knew it was tormented, but dude, like Ukraine has really been through it. So Ukraine is definitely one of Russia's biggest markets for natural gas exports. And it's definitely crucial in, the transit route in Europe. It has currently 7.5 million Russians. And something to remember is that Russia lacks natural borders like rivers or mountains, so it feels like a lack of security without Ukraine. So, fun fact, I didn't know that where Ukraine and Russia, they trace back to the East Slavic state. It was actually founded by Vikings, which I thought that was crazy. So it's called Kiev Rus, which is they're named after red-haired Scandinavians, and they conquered that trade route. They set up their capital at Kiev, and they set up their Eastern Orthodox Christian Church. Then in the 13th century, Mongol invaders moved the powers to Kiev to outpost called Moscow, which we know is now Russia's capital. And Ukraine is like so special because it not only is a gas export and has that crucial trade route, it's also really rich in soil that creates like really plentiful and bountiful like harvest lands. So something
just ignore the radiation.
Yeah, it's fine. It's
I don't know they have radiation
out
out there.
So Catholic Poland and Lithuania dominated the country for hundreds of years until the 18th century, when Imperial Russia had grabbed most of the Ukraine. And Tsars always referred to Ukraine as like Little Russia, and they definitely tried to crush the Ukrainian nationalism by banning their language in schools in the 1840s. So after World War I, Ukraine was declared independent and then swiftly invaded by Poland. Until Russia took it back in the 1918 revolution. In 1922, they entered the Soviet Union, but the economy sucked. People were starving. Peasants refused to join their collective farm force in the 1930s. So Stalin executed like mass people and sent by sending them to like camps, and killed about 10 million people in total.
Wait, so you're saying that communism starves people and kills people?
Well, in this particular Russian anthropology, yes. So he then imported Russians to like repopulate and take control of the land. And then Nazis invaded the Ukraine in 1941. So like they've been invaded, they've been enslaved, like poor Ukraine. So Ukrainians like actually welcomed the Nazis when they invaded. They're like, oh my gosh, like thank you for freeing us from our oppressor, only to be swiftly enslaved by the Nazis and killed.
That's the socialists. Yep.
So then they, this get there.
The premise is
So-
socialists.
So they went back to Stalin,
Fucking
and about
idiots.
2.5 million Ukrainians participated in Stalin's Red Army. So World War II, we know, like for Ukraine, it was definitely one of the bloodiest battlefields. 5.3 million died during that war. And at the end, Stalin ended up deporting thousands of people that were cooperating with the Nazis to Siberian prison camps and then executed thousands more. So that was just after World War II. So then we get to 1991.
Okay.
90% of Ukraine vote to declare independence from the Soviet Union. At this point, things were rocky anyway, and things were kind of good for them until 2004. They had a presidential election, and the Kremlin backed a Russian candidate, but it ended up being like massive election fraud, and it sparked something called the Orange Rebellion, or Revolution rather. And then that same candidate made another comeback in 2010. And he then canceled a trade deal with the European Union, and he was driven out of office by protesters.
Fuck him.
So where we're at now, in 2014, Russia crossed the Ukrainian territory and annexing Crimea and causing a rebellion. And basically they had a ceasefire. And then the ceasefire ended when Ukraine used armed drones to attack a howitzer operated by Russian separates. And Russia's like, dude, no, like that's the end to our ceasefire. And now it's ramping up to what's happening now. So now Russia wants Ukraine back. He says, baby, I changed. It will be a happier life. I promise I won't do it again. And even Putin says, like on record, he says, Russia without Ukraine is a country, but Russia with Ukraine is an empire. And I think that's scary. It's really scary.
So one thing to remember is that Putin is ex-KGB, right? Like he was born and raised. He lived the Soviet Union. He bled red, right, for the Soviet.
He's won every election since too.
Well, that's because Russia is an oligarchy, so it's not a democracy either.
True.
So whoever is the warlord at the time is the leader. So that's been Putin for the last 20 years. And Putin's stated that his dream is to rebuild the Soviet Empire.
He definitely wants to. He like looks at that like a tarnish on Russia's legacy is the crumbling of the Soviet Union, and he wants it back. So initially, the Biden administration said, "Listen, like we're gonna take a restrained stance. We're not going to war with Russia. Blah 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 blah."
A little invasion's okay, just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Russia, meanwhile, has like 100K troops on the border of Ukraine, and they're just doing exercise drills.
They started moving in heavy artillery over the weekend.
Yeah. So Biden, basically, they're on high alert to send 8,500 troops to go to Ukraine. U.S. embassies are being evacuated. All U.S. citizens are encouraged to come back as soon as possible, but they will not do a military extraction for your ass. So if you are in Ukraine and you're not a U.S. ambassador, come back home.
Biden, learn from Afghanistan. He will leave you. He's that dad. He's that dad that says, if you get lost in Walmart, I'm leaving you. And he will leave you.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't doubt it.
Yeah.
I do know that the UK has sent artillery, and I know that Biden's talking about sending soldiers. Did he ever mention how many?
8,500.
So yeah, the U.S. is 8,500, and NATO as a whole is about 50,000, I believe.
Mhm.
Oh.
So like there's some so Ukraine wants to be part of NATO, and basically Russia's like, hell no. Like if you admit them into NATO, like it's gloves off, like we're going to war, motherfuckers. So that's the kind of the predicament NATO's in right now. Um and Putin's not looking to de-escalate. I mean, he has those troops on the border. He has artillery there, and they want NATO to halt like their eastern reach of getting all these countries, because right now NATO has like 27 European countries, 2 North American countries, 1 Eurasian country. Um, and so he's like, nah, like this isn't gonna happen. It also hurts like Europe in particular, because Europe has very important trade routes with Russia, and it would lose more than what we would do in the US because of the gas supplies, because they're completely dependent on them.
Mhm. That's why Germany
Yeah,
hasn't really
so-
stepped up too.
Yeah, like one thing so NATO builds the American empire, right? NATO says if anybody fucks with you, America will back you. That's what the NATO treaty is, right? So
They all share a responsibility and risk. That's what
yeah,
NATO is.
100, yeah, it's all equal, right? And so if Ukraine is inducted into NATO, then the American empire and the Russian Empire are borders, like butted up against each other. No, there's no, back in World War One, they called it, no man's land. Well, that's all gone. And that's why one of the reasons why they went so hard, that's why they risked it all to take Crimea, because that's their only, their warm water port.
Mm-hmm.
If they didn't take Crimea, then a country like the United States had easy way to bring in a carrier and drop off a whole bunch of people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The U.S. could also look at like putting sanctions in place, like they call it out of the China playbook, would deprive Russia of like electronics and military equipment and tech, as well as like the international banking system. But I don't think that's gonna happen. And this whole situation has me on edge. Like it's a very delicate situation. But I was interested in what you guys are thinking. Like, do you think that the U.S. should intervene at all?
Oh,
I don't know. That's a
Yeah.
huge question, right? Because like we've poked the bear, so we can't get mad if the bear bites, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then again, so we've been sanctioning Russia and China for so long, and we've been threatening them with the US dollar, that they've made other arrangements, right? So Putin knows that if he attacks tomorrow and he's cut off from the US dollar, he doesn't give a fuck. Like he has other options. And also, the thing to be afraid of is like China flew over Taiwan again today, right? So China is letting Taiwan know if the US or if Russia invades Ukraine and the US responds, Taiwan's getting invaded. No questions asked. Like it's already ready to roll. They're just waiting on the signal from Russia. And then, last week, Russia, China, and Iran were all doing drills together and practicing war, having war games together. So the pieces are being put on the board. So the question is, who's going to make the first move? I don't think anything's avoidable anymore. So if the US doesn't back Ukraine and they let Ukraine fall, just like they let Hong Kong fall and they let Afghanistan fall, then we're going to look really bad to all of our allies, right? Like we can no longer protect you. That's what we're going to say. And two, that's going to give Russia such a morale boost. Like we got to remember Russia's economy, for one. Let's start there, right?
Mhm.
Russia's economy is in shambles. Well, Russia's economy is smaller than the economy of New York City. Okay. Their GDP is like millions a year. So they've been in a desperate spot for 10, 20 years now. Right? They have China. China wants Taiwan more than anything. And I can guarantee China is probably pushing Russia to invade just as cover so China can do what they want and nobody bats an eye. right? The whole reason of NATO, right? NATO gives the United States the ability to call on like 2 billion people to serve, right?
Mhm.
That's the only way we can compete with Russia and China together. China has 1 billion people they can throw at you. It's not, think about it. China is a powder keg right now on its own right?
Mhm.
That, just think about it. There is there's a very low number of women, marrying age women, right? There's a whole lot of dudes. There's no way for them to invest to make money. There's no way for them to do anything, right? Like, the only way a person can invest money in China is to buy property. Well, the Chinese market is on free fall after Evergrande defaulted.
Mm-hmm.
So they're itching for something, right? They're brewing. They're pushing.
Go ahead.
Well, they're pushing Russia, and what does Russia have to lose, right?
Yeah, they don't give a fuck.
So, so that's it. If things pop off, the U.S. is a war with. We have to defend Taiwan and we have to defend Ukraine. Like, it shouldn't be our business, but at this point, do we step in ahead of time, or do we wait until our allies are so overran then we come be the hero like we were in World War II?
There's one thing that popped into my head as you were describing the situation, Ethan, especially for both Russia and China having really, really broken economies right now, is if you really want to boost your economy, start a war. Only way.
Hey, if you want to raise your presidential numbers, start a war. And it works on our end too. Like,
yeah.
So that's it.
I mean, look at Bush's numbers after 9/11. Like, his ratings were in the fucking trash, and he was just becoming a president.
Biden's first year is the worst that we've ever. His poll numbers are the worst we've ever seen in our lifetime.
Last I saw, his poll numbers were 47% approval. And that was like months ago. I have no idea what they're doing.
Yeah, no, he's like hovering around like 32, and Kamala Harris is like 28.
and the real question is, why the fuck are we poking the bear anyway? Yes, I understand that these two.
I don't think we could keep a passive approach, though.
No, you can't anymore, because we need the poo over in China and the Kremlin piece of shit in Russia, and I don't care. I'm never going to go to these countries anyway while they're in power. Want to just take from the world and build their empires when the world isn't an empire anymore. We're woke. We're all fucking woke on some level.
So the issue is that America is an empire. Like, no matter where you put it, even if we were put together peacefully, right, in a way, like people wanted to join us and wanted to be part of us, we're still at that point, right? Like, we're the world police is what you hear. Or we have NATO, we have this, that, or we give all this money to people and we take care of them. Like, we are still the world power, right? We are the American empire, like, however you want to look at it, if that's good or bad. So if you see the emperor's weak, isn't that when you make your move? And America has had a rough, like, 10 years right now. Like, since 2008, we've been in a free fall, and it took us this long to notice.
Not just that, but also, like, how divided we are as a country. And we're so distracted by these other issues that, like, world issues like this are completely ignored. Like, this shit's scary. Like, the possibility, like, it's a pretty much not a if, it's when this shit starts popping off.
And just, a perspective to look at, right, is here in the United States, right, we have a big battle going on about, LGBT rights, right? People say, I don't have enough rights, I need more here. And if you look at Russia in comparison, do you know how many, what the official count of,
LGBTQ people?
Yeah, that's a good way to I'm trying to get the right word. I don't want to offend people, right?
Yeah.
So, you know what the official count by the Russian government is? That there are 0 gay people in the country of Russia.
I remember
Right.
when
Yeah,
that
they
came out.
murdered
Like
them.
it's
Yeah.
it's a federal offense to be gay, and it's like, hey, if we're really gonna say we need to support these rights, maybe we do need to start looking at how people are treated elsewhere, and but in order to do that, we have to concede that maybe we are doing something right here, right? Like it might not be perfect, and we might not get everything we want yet, but if we look around, I can walk outside. I could go walk downtown, and the chances are that I'm going to see an openly gay person or openly trans person is pretty high, right? Like they're
Yeah.
going to be able to be walking down the street, doing what they want, living their life. Now, if I was in Russia, we would probably see somebody getting beat up on the street for that. So, but in order to get that viewpoint, we have to concede and say, well, maybe some things went right and we did some things right. And we haven't got to that point yet here.
Or like we're stepping in the right direction, but like progress takes time.
Mhm.
But again, we can't continue progress unless we acknowledge the steps that we have taken, right? And when you hear people say, they're against trans rights, well, I mean, in some departments, we still have negotiations, and we still have talks, and we still have, differing opinions. But overall, I'm a firm believer that, man, live your life, do what you want, right? And I think that is the perspective of the majority of people. I don't think that there's like people, running down LGBT people in the street. Like I haven't seen a mob go after anybody or anything. I've actually seen the opposite. So it's when we're looking at these world issues, I don't know. I think, is the United States that bad? Right?
I see the point that you're getting at. I do feel like there is work to be done in terms of, more work to be done. But I do feel like you have a point in saying, listen, like we have a lot of liberty here already, and looking abroad, like you're saying, to these other places where you can't be who you are, that's a problem. And I mean, that's just another Western idea that Russia is trying to prevent its people from having, right?
Mhm.
Like the freedom in general, freedom to be who you are, and that's fucked up. Like honestly, it's really fucked up.
Mm-hmm. It is, and I don't know. It's just, I guess we're getting to a turning point, right? And on the other side, if Russia invades and China invades, you know what that gives the American people? That gives them a common enemy.
Yeah.
And nothing brings America together than hating somebody that, you know, like you think about how quickly the United States will hate somebody, and you give them an adversary that's way far away, that will bring everybody together really quickly. And I think that would be a big issue for Russia in what they're trying to do.
World War III was trending this morning on Twitter. Do you think that's going to happen with this?
Like, no, this is. I mean,
Do you think this is a portion of World War III?
this is the start of it. I honestly believe that by the end of the Olympics, we will see somebody get invaded. I don't know who, and I don't know when, but I think there's too many people posturing that eventually somebody's gonna slip,
Yeah.
or somebody's just gonna say, "Fuck it, I'm done. Let's do this."
I like my war on TV. Thank you very much. Maybe in a galaxy far, far away.
Well, so what we have to worry about is when Putin stands up and starts saying, "Call me Dynamo," then yeah, shit's gonna hit the fan.
As long as he doesn't ask us to start calling him Palpatine, because that's not gonna happen.
Man, that
It's
was
pretty
such a good
close.
transition, and you just
What do you mean? We already
Dynamo Boba
transitioned.
Fett. You could have just picked up that ball and ran with it, Peach.
Oh, dude,
So Boba Fett, what are you thinking so far? Do you like it? Not like it? Do you hate it like all of Reddit?
all of Saltier Than Great, which I don't understand. Like, it's a great
Dude,
series.
Reddit just hates their life, right? Like,
Honestly, though,
I hate Reddit for the fact that Reddit just hates everything.
I think Star Wars fans are just so salty, which I can understand why not, why they are, with the direction that the Star Wars industry has gone in. But
Captain
as someone
Kennedy.
who didn't grow up with Star Wars, like it's catering to my audience, and I love the direction that Boba Fett is going through. Like I think it's great.
Like,
So the Reddit community you're talking about, I'm curious on how they feel about the High Republic because I bet they love it.
so it's back and forth because it's okay. So Saltier Than Great started because a lot of the controversial topics for Star Wars were being removed or deleted from the original Star Wars subreddit, and it started after Episode 8, I think. So
Well, yeah.
yeah.
I mean, like, they were talking about they want to change the name of Boba Fett's ship because they don't want to be Slave One anymore.
Yeah, it's Starfire. No, not Starfire. Spitfire.
No, that's stupid. That's dumb. Don't even condone that, Peach.
Look.
It is Slave One. It's
I
always
liked
been
it.
Slave One.
I like it because one, can't just call someone a slave anymore, like stormtroopers.
It's not.
and
it's a
number
ship.
two, the reason it's called Slave One is because Jango Fett was the original clone.
Mhm.
So I understand where the nostalgia is for that, but why can't we just change it to something that's a little more
But then
fitting?
again, if you don't like it, then why did you buy it, right? Like, if Disney didn't like the IP they were buying,
Mhm.
why did they buy it? Why did they not just make their own story, right? Like, so if it was so offensive, right, they should have just let Boba Fett and Slave One retire. They had their ending. They were done. There's no need to bring them back, right?
Cash cow. It's money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Disney decided to bring them back. So you can't resurrect somebody from the grave and then try to change everything about them. It just
But-
doesn't work.
But what if Boba had actually decided to rename the ship after he took it, because he's not the original clone anymore? That was his father.
Well,
Like I wouldn't.
technically-
I don't know. Like,
So he's Alpha. Boba would be Alpha, and then you have Omega, which is the female version of Boba,
mhm.
and she's what's in the Bad Batch.
Oh, damn, I need to watch the Bad Batch. Haven't
So,
seen that shit
but
yet.
are they gonna go back and rename Slave 2 and Slave 3?
I don't know. I mean, if they don't, then you know that it's a personal decision of Boba.
So, are they gonna go back and change Slave Girl Leia to forced imprisonment Leia? I don't like.
Well,
That makes
that's
sense.
already that's already in the story. Like this is progressing beyond the original Star Wars story. Like it's progressing Boba's story. I mean, look at him with the Tusken Raiders. Like he had a lot of growth like just from them. So
Oh, yeah.
like, like
Loved that
maybe
for him.
like the leader that he's becoming. I mean, look at like him adopting those little street gang that have really cool speeders that I want one. I want one just like the green one.
Everyone on Saltier Than Great called them Power Rangers. Saw that a couple weeks back.
But like, also the simple fact that they could just never call the ship by its name, right? Like, just leave it be and just never use the name. That's
Mhm.
also an option.
Yeah, could be.
I don't know. I'm really offended by them trying to change Boba Fett stuff. Like, I don't know. Boba Fett has a special place in my heart. He was always my guy, right?
Yeah, no.
Like that was the first little action figure I had and everything. So it's like
Well,
just
It's
leave
like
him alone.
it's very near and dear to your heart. Like, don't change it.
Yeah.
Like Lion King for me, like live action. I have never seen it. I will never see it
Same.
because Lion King holds such a special place in my heart.
Same.
Cage gets it. Cage gets where I'm at.
So I love that Danny Trejo was in this as the Sarlacc caretaker. It is so cute and so on brand for Trejo.
Right. But you could see the disappointment in his face when Bob was like, I want to ride it. And the guy was like, but I was going to train him for me.
I mean, it's difficult.
I've ridden bigger.
But yeah, no, I mean, I've really liked where it's been going. I like that they doubled back to the Sarlacc a couple times and given a lot more information.
Mhm.
Now he's on the hunt for his armor, which we know he finds, right?
Mhm.
And you know, we saw the glimpses of the Mandalorian. We didn't see him, but we saw, you know, the flashes he was doing. Like we saw his little battle from a distance. So I'm really like digging where it's going. And
Mhm.
I mean, you could always be like we can always be negative and hate on it, or we can find the little gems that we did like.
Yeah. When I heard the like Mandalorian music at the end of the last episode, I was like, and Alan's like, it was already spoiled for me on Reddit.
Fucking saltier than crate. The day before we watched it, I was scrolling through Reddit and I saw, oh, do you guys think that the Mando tie-in in the recent episode of Boba was worth it? I'm like, what the fuck? You don't use spoiler tags anymore? The fuck's wrong with y'all assholes? But everyone was salty about that
Well,
too. They
So right there, they should lose all like respect from you
yeah, they
to go
did.
to that Reddit.
They did. They did. Because they're all shitting.
Unfollowed.
They're all shitting on the idea that they all seem to think that the Book of Boba was so bad from the studio's perspective that they needed to include the Mandalorian. But what's to say that the Mandalorian that Din Djarin was already going to be included?
Well, so
Yeah.
that's the other thing, right? Like Din Djarin's story came to a positive conclusion. So how do you bring him back into the story?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I totally agree. Plus, it was nice to get the backstory of what like Boba went through to come back, and then how he met up with Din Djarin like later on. Like it was necessary, I think, to understand the full arc of Boba, like where he's at now.
Also, you could totally tell that Lucasfilm studio executives were paying attention and writing down notes during the Parks and Rec episode, or what's his face was filibustering and talking about how Disney will bring back Boba. First, you zoom in on the
Oh,
Sarlacc pit.
You're talking
And you
about the
see-
Josh episode, right?
Yeah.
We just got a free sub to Paramount Plus because we're watching football. And Parks and Rec is on there, so I'm very excited to watch Parks and Rec.
I know they moved it off of everything else and they put it on that. It's kind of
Okay. Why?
But they have SpongeBob, all the Nickelodeon shows.
well,
We're-
see, and that was the thing, right? Like Nick was making that deal with Netflix, and they had a bunch of stuff coming out, and it just stopped, and it all went to Paramount.
Yeah. Also, no, wait, that was Cartoon Network. A ton of Cartoon Network stuff went to HBO.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're talking about like trimming our subscriptions down because like HBO, we're not watching anything new. I'm watching The Sopranos. He just finished Metalocalypse, but that's pretty much everything we're watching on HBO. Like, there's nothing interesting on there.
I need to
I can
pick
say
up with Doom Patrol.
HBO has more new content than like
Disney.
Amazon or Disney. So that's hard, right? Like you can watch the newest movies on HBO Max.
Yeah, yeah. Mm, I
We'll
hate
cancel
having so
Disney.
many
We'll cancel Disney because Disney, like, as soon as Book of Boba's done, we can cancel it and just wait.
Yeah. Well, again, so let's put it right here. Netflix is down in their stock 30 or 50% right now. Okay? They're not looking good. How far off do you think we are from the so we saw the .com mergers, right? We saw the rise of all these .com companies, and then they all crumbled and merged into Google and Yahoo.
Mm-hmm.
So how long before we see the streaming merge? Like, we all know it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're already kind of seen it in like different facets, like Disney and like Fox and like all the other big ones. Yeah. I mean, like maybe it's just like Netflix's like way out. Like this is like their push. They're now the blockbuster at Hollywood Video.
I mean, we all know the model that would make them all a bunch of money is that if instead of me paying $15 a month for Netflix, I can pay $5 a month for Netflix, $5 a month for, like, give me portions of all the streaming services on one platform, and then we're good. Like, make Netflix a channel rather than its own personal streaming platform.
Cable
But in
TV.
order to do that, I guess you have to use Hulu, and Disney owns 90% of Hulu. So
Yeah, that's a problem there.
What else is coming up on Disney after Boba? Like Hawkeye?
We need to
That's
finish
all.
that
Already
Hawkeye.
out.
Yeah, that's all done.
it's all out. I can tell you that doesn't even interest me. It's like, come on, like,
I'm over superheroes.
yeah, like I told y'all, like, when Infinity War ended, that was really it for me for the Marvel universe, right? Like, we had 10 years of nothing but Marvel.
Before that was
And
Harry Potter and zombies.
yeah,
Yeah.
right.
And vampires.
And so now it's like you're giving us Black Widow and Hawkeye after you already killed off one of them, right? And the other one's not really relevant anymore.
Yeah.
I'm like really interested in like the fantasy series. Like I want us to get back into that. Like Lord of the Rings, Amazon show. And then like Wheel of Time on Prime. Like that show is amazing. It is so good. The way they display magic use is beautiful.
And then, like, last week, The Expanse had its final episode.
Final
You know,
episode?
yeah,
Damn.
is the series finale. Which
Good.
I don't know if you have watched any of it, but that is an amazing story. And it's still space related, but I don't know, it was interesting. It was good. The actors were good. The stories were good. And it ended too soon. And to
Yeah, give
this
us
day,
sci-fi.
yeah, to this day, I still say Alex got the raw deal.
We'll remember that
They-
when we watch it.
Well, like, the show goes through so much effort to make sure Bobby lives that they even kill off Alex to save Bobby. And you're just like, let Bobby die, okay? She's a proud Marine. It's in her job. Let her do her job.
Yeah.
Bobby.
Let Bobby die. Let him die,
And he'll
Joanne.
never.
Just let him die.
Her. Bobby's a woman.
Her.
She's an Amazon. She's an Amazon woman. Let's
I'm
just
sorry.
say that.
I'm sorry. Them to gender because Hank Hill. Anyway, what are we doing this Wednesday?
I don't know.
I know I just kind of sprang that on you.
I mean, we had a conversation earlier.
TBD.
Stay tuned.
I do want to scare up a little game night on Thursday. I was hoping to get a Mario Kart following. So if you guys are interested in playing Mario Kart on Thursday.
Well, maybe you can convince some other people to play Mario Party with us or something. Wednesday.
Yeah, I could talk to some people.
Maybe
Talking to me?
you can convince. Yeah, maybe you can convince NJ and Puzzle to actually appear on Jerk's Play.
Yeah, I love to do that. And yeah, Thursday I was thinking of like Mario Kart. Also, Unrailed would be kind of fun if you guys get it on Switch. It's only $5. It's only $5 and a co-op.
Yeah, not gonna lie, Unrailed is a fun fucking game.
Yeah,
You've played it before,
So,
right?
I got.
It
Yeah.
sounds super familiar. What is it?
It's the never-ending railroad building one with the train.
Oh,
Gotta like.
no, I've never played that.
You,
Yeah, you did.
yeah,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
did.
You were yelling at Marco the entire time.
Yeah. Hold
I
on.
mean, probably. It sounds super familiar. It's like I felt like I've played it before, but
It's chaos. It is chaos with like 4 people. But yeah. I would love to play Mario Party on Jerks on Wednesday.
I mean, if you get
We get-
Pokemon Pearl, we can always judge each other based on like how we're doing.
wait, did you buy Sword or Shield?
Which one do I need to buy? This game.
We've gone over this like 100 times.
Shield, right? Unreal.
Yeah, there
that
you go.
game. Yeah, we've played that game.
So I have Sword. That means you got to get Shield.
Okay, I'm gonna
So we
write
can
it down
trade
this
Pokemon.
time. I'm gonna write it down. Get
We have
Shield.
video evidence. Cage, yell at him if he buys anything different.
Okay. So I bought Pearl. It really reinvigorated my love for Pokemon again, especially like on a much more technical aspect. And I'll go and buy Shield, sorry. And I want to buy Arceus.
That's fine. You can buy Sword, but then we'll have the same game and we can't get the exclusive Pokemons in.
Okay. I'll get Shield. I have it written down. I purposely messed it up. But I think Unrailed would be really fun. Because all we do is yell at each other. For an hour and a half.
Well, you have to convince Puzzle to buy it on her new Switch,
Okay.
since she is the most updated Switch out of all of us.
Her fancy Switch.
Yeah, no, I yelled at her yesterday because she was like, look, I ordered this skin for my Switch and controller. And I was like, wait, so you made me go hunt you down the white Nintendo Switch so you could put a skin on it?
Oh my god.
No, that's not true. She has like the docking station will have the skin and like the little edge around it, but she's keeping the white Joy-Cons.
I took off the skin from mine a long time ago. I kind of want to get a new skin.
Oh, I totally want a new skin. Mine's mint.
Pete, Peach, we talked about this. You can't peel skin off, okay?
But it puts the lotions on the skins or else it gets the hoses again.
Oh, let's wrap this buddy up. It's past my bedtime.
Here's it.
And AJ is like, all right, I gotta go hang out with Bill.
All right. So here's a schedule for this week. Crazy. Would you who'd you have in mind raid?
Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Bill.
I don't know. Prez is on.
Impress is on. He's playing that new Yu-Gi-Oh game that came out unannounced. That was a big surprise to everyone this past week.
Hold on, guy, you're stuck. Hold on, you got stuck.
You gotta wait. Sylvie. You're stuck.
Yeah, Kitty got his paw stuck in the or his nail stuck in the tablecloth.
Stop getting your nails stuck, kitty.
Oh yeah, good luck with that.
You gotta have to stop. That's my best
He's
trick
like
right
the
now.
dumbest cat I've ever seen. And he's also not very graceful.
What an uncoordinated kitty.
You're like, after the third time he gets claws stuck in the carpet, you're just like, dude, stop that.
Oh wait, Puzzle's in chat. Puzzled, who are you rating? You still have to tell us. Start the raid.
Yeah, I just started.
Just raid somebody.
Just raid somebody.
Just raid somebody.
She's in bed dying. Don't make her make decisions.
It's the last thing I want to do, and my head hurts.
Here's our outro. I hope Puzzle picks someone to raid. I'm just kidding.
Well, that wraps up another great episode. And don't forget to join our amazing and supportive community on Discord.
I'll decide for you.
In our Discord, you can find game nights, watch parties, food picks, Dungeons and Dragons, and more. What's not to love about that? We have a little something for everyone. Head over to our website, officialmillennials.com, and you'll find more info, especially our featured gamer of the week.
Speaking of something for everyone, we have a book club. We read a book almost every month and talk through it together. We also have a special perk for our subs to discuss other books in a series called Chapter 2.
Don't forget to swing by YouTube and drop us a follow at Official Millennials. You can also find us on Twitter at MillsOfficial. We appreciate all the support, and y'all have a good one.
This is an Official Millennials production.
Have a good one, kids. Just hit the raid now button.